She walked into a florist. She chose an expensive bouquet of flowers. She gave the florist an address and a delivery date. 2 days from now, she said. Please deliver them in 2 days. Then she ordered a taxi. She climbed in. She told the driver to take her to Box Hill, a beauty spot in the Surrey Hills, about 10 minutes from the village where she lived. He dropped her at the side of the road at the entrance to a bridleway. He watched her in the rear-view mirror as he drove away. She was standing completely still in the rain. She was not walking. She was not moving toward the pub at the bottom of the hill. She was not heading anywhere he could see. She was just standing there, watching him leave. That taxi driver was the last confirmed person to see Ruth Wilson alive. She was 16 years old. It was the 27th of November, 1995. And 30 years later, on the anniversary of that rainy Wednesday afternoon in Surrey, nobody knows what happened to her. The flowers she ordered were delivered to her stepmother 2 days later, exactly as she had arranged. There was no note attached. 3 days after she vanished, police found 3 handwritten notes hidden under a bush in the undergrowth at the top edge of Betchworth Quarry on Box Hill. They were addressed to her father, her stepmother, and 2 friends. Nearby, they found empty packets of paracetamol and a half-empty bottle of vermouth. Ruth Wilson has never been found. This is her story, and it is one of the strangest, saddest, most unresolved disappearances in the history of the United Kingdom. This case has haunted Surrey for 30 years, including the devastating family secret that changed everything. If this channel is where you come for true crime told the right way, a quick subscribe will enable us serve you better. Betchworth is a village in Surrey, England, the kind of place that appears on calendars. Cottages on country lanes, a village church with a bell tower, rolling green hills stretching into the North Downs, the kind of place where nothing is supposed to go wrong. Ruth Wilson was the eldest daughter of Ian and Nesta Wilson. From the very beginning, Ruth's life held a secret she was not supposed to know. When Ruth was 3 years old, her mother Nesta died. The family told Ruth it had been an accident, that Nesta had fallen down the stairs and broken her neck. It was the version of events Ruth would carry through her entire childhood, into adolescence, and all the way up to a few weeks before she disappeared. Ian Wilson remarried. His new wife was Karen Bowerman, a deputy head teacher at a local primary school. Ian was head of science at a secondary school and a parish councillor. They were a respectable, community-embedded couple, regular churchgoers, visible and trusted figures in local life. By any outward measure, Ruth had a stable, comfortable upbringing in one of the most beautiful corners of England. She was studious, unconventional, and intensely musical. She played the electric guitar and the piano. She sang in the church choir. She played the organ. She enjoyed bell ringing. She loved books. She went on long bike rides with friends through the Surrey countryside. She had a Saturday job in a music shop and was a popular local babysitter. She was studying for her A-levels at the Ashcombe School 6th form. She was not one of the cool girls. Her friends described her as having an intelligent, quirky personality with a small but intensely loyal group of people around her. She was the kind of teenager who thought deeply, cared fiercely, and carried things quietly. What nobody around her fully understood at the time was just how much she was carrying. Ruth's closest friend, Catherine, was planning to move to Sheffield. In those final weeks, Ruth had asked whether she could join her once Catherine was settled. She was looking for somewhere to go, someone to go to, a door out of something she had not yet named. Catherine moved away in late November 1995. Ruth disappeared days later. The weekend before she disappeared, Ruth had stayed over at a friend's house. She did not want to go home. Catherine's mother remembered it clearly. Ruth was very, very unhappy and uncomfortable. She was insistent. When asked why she did not want to return home, she gave no reason. She just did not want to go. That same weekend, Ruth had hidden a school report from her father and stepmother. She was worried about her performance. She was keeping something back, managing information, trying to control a situation that was already running away from her. On the evening of the 26th of November, the night before she disappeared, by all accounts the household was settled. Nothing obviously wrong on the surface, but Ruth was already in motion. She had already been to the florist. The flowers she ordered were not an impulse. They were deliberate, expensive, timed. Her friend Roxy, who had known her at school, described them as Ruth sticking two fingers up. A message, a farewell dressed up as a gesture, something Ruth knew the meaning of, even if no one else did yet. On the morning of Wednesday, the 27th of November, Ruth set out as if going to school. She did not go to school. She decided instead that she was going to work in the library. Whether that was true, or whether it was simply the story she needed to leave behind, nobody is certain. What we know is this. She made her way to a florist, placed the order for the delayed bouquet, then made her way to Dorking Station. She got into a taxi. She told the driver to take her to Box Hill. She was not dressed for the weather. It was a cold, wet November afternoon. She was wearing a red jumper and black trousers, no coat. The taxi driver dropped her at the entrance to a bridleway near the top of Box Hill. He drove away and watched her in the mirror. She stood completely still. She did not move toward the road or the pub or any visible destination. She stood there, watching him leave. He was the last person to confirm seeing Ruth Wilson alive. That evening, when Ruth did not come home, her family grew concerned. Police were contacted. A search of the Box Hill area was launched with a helicopter, police dogs, and heat-seeking equipment. Ruth was not found. On the 29th of November, the flowers she had ordered were delivered to her stepmother Karen, an expensive bouquet. No note. On the 1st of December, 5 days after Ruth vanished, police found 3 handwritten notes hidden in undergrowth at the top of Betchworth Quarry on Box Hill. The notes were addressed to her father, her stepmother, and 2 of her friends. Near the notes were empty packets of paracetamol and a half-empty bottle of vermouth. Ruth was not there. She has never been found. The notes, the paracetamol, the bottle of vermouth, the flowers timed to arrive after she was gone. Everything in those details points in one direction, but Surrey police have never closed this case as a suicide, because there is no body, and because of something Ruth discovered in the weeks before she disappeared that changes the entire shape of this story. Stay with me. In early October 1995, approximately 6 weeks before she disappeared, Ruth Wilson did something that took real courage for a 16-year-old girl. She traveled to London. She went to the Public Records Office, where births, marriages, and deaths were registered. She asked to see her mother's death certificate. What she read on that piece of paper was not what she had been told her entire life. Nesta Wilson had not fallen down the stairs. Nesta Wilson had taken her own life. She had died by suicide on the 10th of December, 1982, when Ruth was 3 years old. Ruth's entire childhood had been built on a lie, told with the best of intentions and the most damaging of consequences. The girl who had spent 16 years believing her mother died in an accident discovered in a records office that the truth was something far heavier, far darker, and far more directly connected to her own internal world than anyone around her had understood. Catherine, Ruth's closest friend, later described Ruth's reaction. Obviously, it is crazy to find out that something you have been told your entire life is not true, whatever the reasons. What makes this revelation so significant is not just the shock of it, it is the timing. Ruth found out in October 1995. She disappeared in November 1995. 6 weeks separated the discovery from the disappearance, and in those 6 weeks, by every account, she told almost nobody. She did not confront her father. She did not raise it with her stepmother. She absorbed it. She carried it, alone. The investigation that Surrey police launched in November 1995 was extensive for the time. Searches of Box Hill, covering more than 1,000 acres of parkland, helicopter searches, dog teams, thermal imaging, 60 volunteers, including school friends, local residents, National Trust wardens, and quarry employees. All of Box Hill searched, then searched again. Ruth was not found. In the months and years that followed, there were numerous public appeals. Her father Ian wrote an open letter in the Daily Mail in 2006, 11 years after she disappeared. "We still have the presents we bought you for Christmas in 1995, he wrote. "They are safe in a drawer, waiting for you to come back." In 2018, the case was formally reviewed by Surrey Police. Detective Chief Superintendent John Saville listed 5 possible explanations for Ruth's disappearance: a tragic accident, abduction, suicide, murder, or that she had chosen to start a new life. That is 5 possible truths, and 30 years later, not one of them has been confirmed or eliminated. 1 year after Ruth disappeared, on the exact anniversary of her disappearance, a girl was captured on CCTV at a newsagent's shop in Dorking, 2 miles from Box Hill. She was distressed. She was described as matching Ruth's physical build, about 5 feet 2 inches, slender, with shoulder-length brown hair. She asked for a copy of each of the local newspapers. When she was told one had sold out, she became visibly upset, and then she left. She was never identified. Surrey Police enhanced the footage. They interviewed witnesses. They found nothing definitive. Was it Ruth? Nobody knows. Stay with me, because the mystery deepens the closer you look. 30 years on, 5 theories remain active. The first and most forensically supported is suicide. The notes, the paracetamol, the vermouth, the flowers ordered for delivery after she was gone, the discovery of her mother's cause of death just weeks before, the fact that she had no coat on a cold, wet November day, as if she had no expectation of returning home. Her friend Catherine said it plainly years later. "I think she had every intention of killing herself. I think she was really distressed that day. That was the day it all kind of unraveled and fell apart. But there is no body." Surrey Police searched Box Hill thoroughly and repeatedly. The quarry, the woodland, the bridleway, the chalk downland. If Ruth died on Box Hill that day, she was not found. The second theory is that she was planning to meet someone. The taxi driver noted she was not walking toward any visible destination when he drove away. She was waiting. Her friend Roxy suggested she might have been dressed to get into another car. Someone specific, someone she had arranged to see. If Ruth got into a car voluntarily, the possibilities branch in every direction. A friend, someone she had met, a stranger she trusted, an adult who should not have been involved. A school friend, Ben Anderton, later said Ruth had run away from home once before, about a month before her final disappearance, and had hidden at his house in Betchworth. She had done it before. She knew how to disappear for a short time. Did she plan to disappear temporarily, and something went wrong? The third theory is abduction or foul play. Box Hill, despite being a popular National Trust beauty spot, is also an isolated location. A teenager alone in late afternoon, on a bridleway, in fading light and rain. Surrey in the 1990s saw a number of reported assaults on young women in rural settings. The possibility of an opportunistic encounter has never been eliminated. Retired police officer Liam, who spent years investigating this case independently, stated publicly that his belief was that someone from the community was responsible for how Ruth went missing. "It looks to me that she met someone and something happened." The fourth theory remains alive because of that CCTV image from Dorking on the anniversary. If the girl in the newsagents was Ruth, she survived the night on Box Hill. If she survived and chose to build a new life, she has done so for 30 years without a single verified trace. No passport use, no national insurance record, no tax returns, no dental or medical treatment under her original identity. Her friend Roxy said simply, "Somebody that is 16 years of age to run away and be able to give herself a brand new identity, coming from a rural village, I would say is impossible." And yet the case has never been formally closed. What is known, and what the transcripts journalist Martin Bright and retired officer Liam established clearly, is that the picture of Ruth as a happy, stable, well-adjusted teenager was wrong. She was deeply unhappy. She was in turmoil. She had just discovered the most destabilizing truth of her young life. Her father Ian's statement, issued only after the documentary investigation surfaced these details, acknowledged that Ruth always knew about her biological mother's death, but not the exact cause. He said the family were extremely hurt by the suggestion that Ruth's childhood was built on secrecy and lies. But Ruth herself had told her closest friend that her whole childhood was based on a foundation of secrecy and lies. Those two accounts cannot both be true. In 2025, on the 30th anniversary of Ruth's disappearance, Surrey police issued a statement confirming the case remains a missing person inquiry. They continue to keep an open mind about what is behind Ruth's disappearance. At this time, there is no further evidence to support any one particular line of inquiry. She was 16 years old. She has been missing for 30 years, and the case is still open. Ruth Wilson's father, Ian, kept her Christmas presents in a drawer, unopened, for years. "Your tastes have probably changed so much," he wrote in 2006. "You would probably laugh at the music and the clothes. Though the house is too large now, your sister Jenny has moved out. We cannot bear to move. It is your home after all." That letter says something important about the specific grief of a disappearance without a body and without a resolution. It is not the grief of knowing, it is the grief of not knowing, and not knowing has a quality unlike any other kind of loss. There is no funeral, no grave, no moment of confirmed finality. The world stays open in a way that should feel hopeful, but mostly just feels like a wound that cannot close. Ruth's mother, the woman who never knew her daughter, chose to end her life on the 10th of December, 1982. Ruth was 3 years old. She spent 13 years being told it was an accident. And then she found out the truth. And 6 weeks later, she stood on Box Hill in the rain without a coat, having ordered flowers to be delivered 2 days after she left, having written 3 notes for the people closest to her, having hidden them in the undergrowth of a quarry at the top of a Surrey hill. Whether Ruth died on that hill, whether she got into a car and was taken somewhere she did not choose, whether she built a life somewhere that no appeal has ever reached, none of those questions have been answered. The Surrey police case file remains open, reviewed regularly, led by DCI Alex Geldart. There is no further evidence to support any one particular line of inquiry. Ruth Wilson was 16 years old. She was studious, musical, quirky, and deeply loyal to the small circle of people who truly knew her. She played the guitar and the organ. She went on long bike rides through the Surrey countryside. She sat in the choir stalls at St. Michael's Church and rang the bells in the tower above the village where she grew up. She deserved the chance to grow up. She deserved someone to tell her the truth before the truth found her alone. She deserved a door out that led somewhere safe. If you know anything about what happened to Ruth Wilson on the 27th of November 1995, please contact Surrey Police or the Missing People charity. Ruth's case reference is Operation Scholar. She is still out there, somewhere, in some form. 30 years on, somebody knows something. And as journalist Martin Bright said at the end of his own investigation into this case, the thing about secrets is that they have a tendency to come out in the end. If this case stayed with you, share it, because Ruth Wilson deserves more than an unsolved file number. She was a teenager who discovered a devastating truth, carried it alone, and disappeared before anyone around her understood how much she was hurting. 30 years later, her case is still open. Her father's statement is still in the archives. Her Christmas presents were kept in a drawer. Subscribe to True Crime Britain, turn on notifications, new cases every week, and leave a comment below. 5 possible explanations: a tragic accident, abduction, suicide, murder, or a new life. Which do you believe? I will see you in the next one.